Greetings and bienvenue, Midnight Crew. Thank you for returning to this broadcast, and welcome to new viewers joining us for the first time. If you like a video, then feel free to subscribe.
In this thread, post anything/x/ related to highways, roads, or Autobahn. Lots of weird shit tends to occur near them. Lots of places have specific superstitions, like holding your breath driving near graveyards. Gas station stories are welcome too.
Have an uncle who lives in Mexico. He used to do deliveries until last year and was a total jackass about it. He was an alcoholic and would drive overnight through all sorts of shady places just to get his deliveries over with. He told me that before he quit, he was doing exactly this, traveling well after dark, taking a strange route to cut down his delivery time. But then he saw bright lights in the distance. This was the middle of nowhere, and got nervous because any idiot knows the cartel is always out after dark, doing messed up shit. As he approached the lights, he saw they were headlights, and there were trucks blocking the road. Some dudes with guns told my uncle to get out and questioned him about what he was doing. Then they went off to talk to some guy who was sitting in one of the trucks. My uncle was sweating bullets, thinking he was going to get killed. He looked over to the side of the road and saw a different truck, and there was a kid in the bed of the truck lifting out body parts and tossing them into an open pit. My uncle said the kid couldn't have been older than 13 years old. His face was covered in blood, and he had blood and guts all over his shirt and pants. The kid looked at my uncle at one point, and my uncle could see that the kid was crying. The dudes with the guns came back and told my uncle to get the hell out of there, and if they saw him after dark again, they'd kill him and his whole family. So my uncle took off and never did that shit after dark again.
Living with friends on an island in the marsh outside Savannah, Georgia. Riding home from in town with my roommate. He tells me that the night before, he and a mutual friend were on the causeway leading toward the island and saw a deer in the road that disappeared in front of them. I'm calling bullshit. We turn onto the causeway, drive a good way down it. In the middle of the road, we see a man with white skin, hair, and clothes. Only see him for an instant before my friend turns on his brights and the guy disappears. At first, I don't register it. Then my friend says, "Did you just see that?" This is what convinced me without a doubt that at least some paranormal things are real. There's no way two people who weren't on drugs or schizophrenic just happened to have the same hallucination at the same time.
A few months ago, two friends and I were going on a road trip from the East Coast to the West Coast on Route 70. Friend 1 is driving. We're over halfway through Missouri at around 4 in the morning, 100 miles or so from the western border of the state. I'm awake, and friend 2 is asleep. The towns are getting further and further apart. It's dark outside, so we can't see very much, but we start noticing that the ground is getting flat, as we are seeing lights from towns that are miles away from us. We weren't expecting the ground to be this flat until we drove a good distance into Kansas. Everything is widely spread out, and we're both getting confused. So friend 1 tells me to go to Google Maps on my phone to find our location. The GPS on my phone says that we're still on Route 70 in Missouri, in an urban area, passing by exits and restaurants beside the highway. This is obviously incorrect. Friend 1 isn't able to give me his phone to check the map because he has an old flip phone. We wake up friend 2 and tell him to check the map on his phone, and he tells us that he's seeing the same thing. Both of our phones start glitching, and they suddenly turn off at the same time. Neither of us can turn them back on. Something is totally wrong. The area is far too rural, and we should have already passed through Kansas City. The sky gets a little bit lighter, and we notice that there's farmland as far as we can see on both sides of the highway. We stop in a small town off an exit, with an old, inactive train sitting parallel to the highway. Friend 2 takes the battery out of his phone and puts it back in, and he's able to turn it on again. I try to do the same thing, but mine won't turn on. We go to maps and find out that we actually aren't in Missouri anymore. We're in Colorado. So at some point in the last 150 miles or so, we cross the border of Missouri and Colorado. The problem is that this border doesn't exist. Kansas is in between the two states, which means we entirely skipped Kansas somehow. We stand outside of the car for a minute trying to figure out what the fuck just occurred. Friend 1 says, "Wait, do you hear that?" We hear a faint, distant whistling. I recognize the melody. It's Moya by Godspeed, which is the last song we were listening to, hours before this whole thing started. Friend 1, Friend 2, and I get the absolute fuck out of there.
This one's from my mom. When my mom was a kid, she was walking with her grandma, just in the streets of the city they used to live in. She was holding her hand. Then a man came by and tried to take her from her grandma's grip. Upon seeing that my great-grandma didn't give in, and that she started screaming, he just gave up and quickly left. This was around the 70s. Another one my mom has told me is that there was a man in a van who tried to lure her and her sisters closer with candy. They didn't fall for it, so the man just opened his coat, revealing himself, got in, and left. When I was little, around 10, and as I was playing with some friends from the neighborhood, a man across the street standing by a red truck waved at us and told us to help him, because allegedly he left his keys inside the vehicle. So he wanted one of us to get through the window the truck had in the back of the cabinet, a small square opening. Naturally, no one of us listened. When my brother was little, he and my mom were shopping at the supermarket. My brother is the opposite of me, and he just can't stand still for a second. So while my mother was busy picking some stuff, my mother lost sight of him. At first, she thought he was hiding, so she started looking for him, and after not finding him anywhere, she started panicking, screaming for his name. She, being the realistic woman she is, quickly realized the seriousness of the situation and rushed to talk to the cops of the place about the missing child. The cops were quick to lock the doors, 2 entrances of the main market, but there was a side connection that led to a mall, which also had an opening. My mom somehow got the feeling that he was there and ran towards the last opening, roughly 200 meters away from the market. Turns out that there was my brother, grabbing the hand of an older woman, walking towards the exit. The woman played the card of having good intentions and simply left.
March 13th, 1997. Staying at some dinky motel on the outskirts of Phoenix, Arizona. Just finished a job in Phoenix. Going to head back home to Oceanside, California in the morning. Leaning on the balcony drinking a Diet Shasta. Huge triangular craft emerge. They are silently passing over the city. One in particular must be more than a mile in length. AbsoluteTerror.png. Fuck waiting around here to get zapped by Martians. Hop in pickup truck and burn rubber towards home. Getting dark out here on the highway. No cars coming either way for a long time. Nothing but fucking desert out here. See what looks like floodlights out in the desert, maybe 100 meters off to the right of the highway. Border Patrol must be bagging some illegals. Pull over to take a look, roll down window. That's not Border Patrol.wtf. That is a 20-meter tall equilateral pyramid hovering silently over the desert, and it is inverted and covered in bright lights. Think, that's strange. Look at it for what feels like a really long time because aircraft geek and curious why no sound.
It's looking for something, scanning the desert as it passes only a few meters above the ground. It seems to lean in the direction that it goes as it scoots about. Suddenly, a wave of panic washes over me. I am running away from fucking Martian Star Destroyer fleet. The pyramid suddenly turns to face me. Oh fuck.x. At some point while I was staring, it got within 20 meters from me. This thing is huge. The lights suddenly turn off. Floor it and race away down the highway. Any moment now, my engine is just going to shut off and I am going to get probed. Get home safely.
Back when I was still in college, I used to chill in my car next to the lake, about a mile from the dorms. There was playground equipment with a parking lot next to the water. During this time, I would listen to music and look at the stars because I am melodramatic at times. Other people would drive up and park their cars next to each other, and I suspected that they would do this to have sex. For all I know, this was probably a prostitution ring, but I didn't really mind. This one time, I'm listening to a radio play about a murder and something about the supernatural. During the climax, my radio just went white noise, and it kind of scared me. As I turn off the radio, I make a quick scan of the lot and notice that none of the cars were there. That wouldn't have been that weird if it wasn't for the fact that I had seen 3 cars there only a few moments ago, and I didn't hear anyone drive off. Then a car pulled into the lot and did a couple circles, like the person inside it was looking for something in particular. I then decide that I am ready to head back to my dorm, but the car pulls up right behind me, maybe 6 or 7 feet away from my bumper, with its high beams on shining right at me. I thought that maybe they had made a mistake, but instead, this continued for like several minutes. I had a knife in my glove compartment and had taken it out in case anything happened. Eventually, the car drove away, which was a relief because I thought that I might have ended up murdered and at the bottom of the lake. I never went back to that parking lot, and I remember reading in my Twitter feed a year ago that one of the people I had went to school with was stabbed and found passed out under one of the slides at that playground. He was alive, and when the police questioned him, all he could remember was a car driving up behind him while waiting for a friend.
The first happened relatively recently, October 2020. Be me driving down a highway in Kentucky. With girlfriend, on the way to a hayride, a small farm puts on every year. Farm is in the middle of nowhere, but I'm used to trees and being outside at night, so no biggie. While driving down the highway, I notice there are no longer any lights or cars driving by. Again, it's late and remote, so nothing strange yet. Be in a relatively open spot along the highway, clear view of the sky. At the top of my vision, I notice a blur zoom across. I assume it was some kind of bird, but another repeats the same movement. This time, I'm already looking at the area and notice it's mere feet above my car, only it doesn't get passed by my car. Keep in mind I am going about 60 miles per hour, so if something flew in front of me at this speed, I would pass it. But the object moved like it was a hologram projecting across my windshield. At this point, I get a sinking feeling, something I don't get often. My face when it happens a third time, this time coming from the other direction. At this point, I audibly say, "What the fuck?" And my girlfriend goes, "Oh, have you been seeing it too?" I say yes, and then she explains it's been doing that for the past 20 minutes. I shit a concrete brick and ask her if she made out anything on it. Ask if she notices how it seems to stay in front of us at all times. She replies yes to both, and by this point we're confused. Eventually make our way to where the farm is, so we take an exit that goes onto a back road. Here's Johnny.mp3. The fucking thing zooms yet again, only this time I see it go into the trees and emit a sort of light as it does so and circles back around. We are both super intrigued at this point, and if I'm honest, I was also spooked as shit. We get to the farm only to find it's completely empty, despite being a weekend in October. We decide to leave, and on the way back I notice it one more time. Anticlimactic. But that's just how this kind of stuff goes, I guess. Things like this happen to me a good bit, and I got more odd encounters like this one. I did end up doing a little more digging and found out about will-o'-the-wisps and other entities like it. I don't think it was aliens, as I don't think extraterrestrials would just fuck with a couple of 20-somethings trying to get their spook on.
Buddy of mine got a new car, boring as fuck Saturday night, and we decide to grab some burgers and a milkshake with another friend. After we'd said above healthy meal, we decide to drive around a bit because of why not and new car. Drive through some small towns just for fun. Every major crossing, we ask our friend in the back seat which direction we shall go. We take a few turns and end up in the middle of the fucking woods. Decide to take the only good road, the only one of 3 crossroads that was not a dirt road, and see where we will land. Drive for fucking ages, over 25 minutes, and then in the middle of fucking nowhere, a roughly 6'3" tall, really skinny man with a torn apart shirt appears on the side of the road. Dirt all over his pants, and that what once was his shirt. We go slower, passing him, just in case that we don't risk driving him over. At the moment we pass this motherfucker, he jumps from the side of the road right behind the car. We speed up, and the last thing we could see was this guy crawling up a small hill into the forest. We were roughly 8 to 9 miles away from any house, and I usually don't get scared easily, but I nearly shat my pants this night.
Before I was born, my family lived in a rural part of Middle Tennessee, west of Nashville, called Charlotte. They have a large amount of weird stories, but this one is by far my favorite. March 1970. Family is driving down Highway 49, leaving Charlotte going towards Ashland City, a very curvy road, PIC-related. Car consists of my mother, her husband Eric, who is driving, my aunt's husband, and my 2 sisters. Nothing abnormal, everyone just silently riding in the car. Suddenly, everyone in the car is blinded by white. No one is able to see anything but can still hear the car, the sound of it driving on the road, the radio, etc. Several minutes pass. Everyone is still blind. My mother instinctively reaches over and grabs the hand of my youngest sister in the back seat. Aunt becomes panicky and starts waving her hand in front of her in hopes she can see it. She can't. Just as suddenly as it came, the white light left, and everyone could see again. They were still on the road, moving. My mother asks Eric if he had been blinded too. He said he had. He doesn't know why he didn't stop the car, or how he didn't run off the road, he just kept going. Everyone in the car has told me this story at separate times, and it's always been the same details. My sister says she remembers my mother taking her hand. My mother says she felt my aunt moving around when she was waving her hand, etc. Follow-up story to this. A few days after this event, everyone is at home. Lived on a large farm. Late afternoon, so not quite sunset. Mother sees a very large, misty cloud above their garden. My mother describes it as being 4 stories high and made up of blue, yellow, and pink sparkles. She immediately made everyone come inside. She begins making dinner, makes food for my sisters, but she just stands by the window watching it. She says it stays there for hours. Once the sun went down, she no longer saw it, and it was gone the next morning.
2012. Visit family in South Texas, near the border. Headed back to Houston afterwards. Around 2:30 a.m., hour 3 of a 7-hour drive. So girlfriend's in the passenger seat, KOD. Van in the next lane, starts slowly passing me. Not paying much attention until my headlights light up the back of the van. Old, skinny, homeless-looking man in tattered clothes and a bucket hat on the back, holding onto the ladder on the back door. Start chuckling. Figured homeless Hank needs a ride one way or another. Homeless guy whips his head towards me, glares right through me, smiles the yellowest smile I've ever seen. With the hand not holding on to the ladder, he pulls down his fucking beard. Beneath it was just decaying flesh. See nothing but exposed, skinless muscle and teeth. My fucking face when, still with the hand he's pulling his beard down with, puts his index finger up to his mouth in a shh gesture. Lets go of his beard, and it just kind of snaps back into place like a fake gag beard. Once I realized I had been glaring at him, trying to process what the fuck was going on, I noticed he was slowly making his way into the van through one of the back windows. I thought about trying to get the driver's attention, but shortly after he took an exit, it'd take me a good couple of minutes just to get where he got off. Thought about calling the cops too, but I kinda figured, I just saw a zombie break into a car. Wouldn't go over too great. Never told girlfriend.
Middle of the night. Deserted roads off out in the middle of nowhere. I'm on a quest for fast food and I like to avoid the main highways because everyone is an asshole that won't turn their brights off these days. So I like the peace and darkness of the out-of-the-way routes. Come to a spot where the road makes a sudden 90-degree turn. Some high school kids weren't familiar with the area and seemed to have not known there was a 90-degree turn there and ran through the fence. As I approach, they're scrambling about. Ask them if they're okay, if they need any help. Their eyes are all redder than the devil's and they're freaked out, but unharmed. They don't need anything. That night I was the spook. They were just joyriding and I was just getting a hamburger. But it was such a perfectly cliché horror movie intro moment.
I used to work at a gas station. It wasn't in the middle of nowhere or anything, but it still got a little spooky at night sometimes. It's one of the ones that doesn't have a store inside. The attendant is just in a little box with cigarettes basically. There's the little row of snacks and what have you outside the window and the pumps. That's it. It was open from 5 a.m. to 3 a.m., so not quite 24/7. I usually had to close, so I'd be there till 3. Be me. 2:30 a.m. Just doing my closing duties, cleaning up the parking lot, topping off the windshield washer fluid, etc. Carrying huge trash bags to the dumpster. Notice a man standing at the window. Normally I'll hear a car, since there's no actual store, or the person will indicate that they are there in some way. He's skinny and bald on top of his head, but what hair he's got is long, giving him a mulleted appearance. Dirty gray shirt, dirty jeans, beat-up Walmart sneakers. It's rural Tennessee, so he actually looks completely normal. Jog back to my little box, unlock the door, then lock myself in. Procedure is, the door is always locked, no matter what. Hey, sorry about that. What can I get you? He just says, cigarettes. Sure, what kind you like? Tobacco cigarettes. Oh, okay. Pall Malls are on sale. Buy one, get one for $1. $1? Why, yeah, buy one, get one for $1. Cigarette, $1. He pulls a crinkly $10 bill out of his pocket. It's greasy and sort of damp. Drops it on the counter. Gotcha, buddy. Menthol? Menthol, cigarette, $1. Buddy. Ring up 2 packs of green Pall Malls. Here you go, and here's your change. You need the receipt? He snatches 1 pack of cigarettes, leaving the other, turns around and sprints away into the darkness. He didn't get his change either, so that was weird. Probably drugs, but still really weird.
Be me, over-the-road truck driver. Driving 18-wheeler west through Arizona into California about 10 p.m. at night. Long, lonely desert stretch of I-10. See maybe 1 or 2 cars pass me per hour, about the same amount on the eastbound side way off to my left. Notice some weird white object far away. About the distance of the eastbound road, figure it's a reflection of my headlights. White object begins coming closer to the truck, keeping pace at 60 miles per hour. Definitely not a reflection. Now that it's closer, looks like a large sheet of white plastic, like a tarp or shower curtain blowing in the wind. It's flying along, keeping exact pace with my truck, getting closer still. Realize it's shaped like a human body, with arms and legs and a torso and head, but flat. Just flat plastic in the shape of a man, going 60 miles per hour right alongside me in the night in the desert. Have nowhere to go. Too scared to slow the truck down. Can't go any faster because the engine has a limiter on it. Have to just keep the truck straight as this thing is getting closer and closer to my window. It comes right alongside me, in the left lane of the 2-lane road, right by my window. Its limbs keep flapping in the wind like a crazy person, and the part that would have been its head keeps twisting up like when you wring out a towel. Now that it's close, realize it must be about 12 feet tall with its body probably longer if stretched out. Can't tell exact length because of how violently it is waving its arms and legs. It stays with me for a solid minute before it shoots off ahead of me going at least twice my speed, because it is out of sight in about 2 seconds. I drove for about an hour more in absolute confusion and dread, with no idea what the hell had just happened. It honestly looked like a flat, 12-foot tall person who could fly and was running alongside of me just to fuck with me. Another truck driving story. Driving through Texas, heading south towards Laredo, about 2 hours south of San Antonio, on I-35. It's about 8 p.m., and the sun has almost set. Entire western horizon just a brilliant shade of orange and pink. Deep forest of trees, probably a pecan or peach orchard or something, stretching off to the horizon on my right. I notice a large flock of birds flying up from the trees, far enough to just look like little black specks, probably hundreds of them, all taking off at once against the beautiful sunset in silhouette. Just kind of zone out and let the truck drive itself as I watch this awesome sight. Suddenly, after the last few birds take to the sky, see a huge shadow of a bird coming behind them. This thing is big enough that I reached my hand out, arm fully outstretched, and spread my fingers out. And the giant bird's wingspan from my perspective was as wide as the tip of my thumb to my pinky. It's so far away, I can only see the silhouette against the sunset, but up close the bird, or whatever it was, must have been about the size of an airplane or even bigger. Watch it as long as I can, but eventually it disappears into the night sky, and I lose sight of it. I have no idea what it was, but it might have been what cryptozoologists describe as a thunderbird. Unfortunately, I only saw it in silhouette. One more. Driving through Louisiana, honestly don't remember if I was heading east or west, a few miles outside of New Orleans. About 3 a.m., middle of a swamp, lonely highway, might have been I-10. Pouring down rain, visibility is near zero. Concentrating on the road, trying not to drive off into the swamp, suddenly get this horrible sensation of dread like my life is in immediate danger. Can't explain it, never before or since had this experience. But all at once I just know 100% certain that I need to move over into the left lane right now. I trust the instinct, move the big-ass truck over a lane, and just as I do, there's a giant alligator or something laying across the entire right lane. If I had hit that gator, Even just going like 45 to 50 miles per hour, I could have slid off the road, probably into the swamp, or flipped the whole goddamn truck, and almost certainly would have died. Only reason I survived is because I trusted the sudden dread that hit me seconds before. Keep driving, slowing down, in something like shock, wondering what the hell just happened. Off to the right, sitting in the grass dividing the road from the swampland, noticed just on the edge of my headlights, a person sitting cross-legged in all that rain and darkness. Person, or whatever it was, is bright pink, sitting in the Buddhist lotus position, absolutely naked, with no facial features. Bright pink, smooth head like a mannequin. Middle of nowhere Bayou, Louisiana. Raining like a hurricane. Edge of thick swampland. Just sitting there, chilling out, facing the road. I see this shit about 10 seconds after I narrowly avoid death because of pure instinctive reaction. You see really weird things driving the highways at night. Nobody ever believes me when I tell them these stories, but I swear absolutely they are completely true.
Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Traveling from New Jersey to Maine with my wife and kids for a summer vacation. My boy has to go number 2 and is visibly distressed, so we stop. Rest stop, almost midnight. Not many cars. Just a few trucks and a few gruff dudes smoking cigs outside the restroom. I bring, let's call him Johnny, in to use the bathroom. Bearded fat guys at the entrance whispering to each other and eyeing Johnny like meat. I pull him close and put myself between him and the smoking dudes. We enter the first stall and I stand next to him as he does his business. Suddenly feel a poke on my side with something hard. What the fuck? GIF. Look down and there is a bug catcher sticking through a hole in the wall. It is fucking disgusting and diseased looking, like there were a bunch of sores on it at one point that had healed, leaving little chunks taken out of it. I quickly move out of the way, making sure to block it from Johnny's view. Come to a conclusion. Tell Johnny not to worry and hold my hand over one of his ears and press his other ear against my leg so he won't hear what is about to happen. Take out my lighter, one of those blue flame torch lighters, and carefully position it under the underside. Light the lighter. The dude must have been on drugs or something because the lighter was burning far longer than I expected it to. He screams in agony and pulls back through the hole. I quickly pick up Johnny and rush out of the stall. The guy is thrashing around the stall, squealing. The smoking dudes come in the door looking shocked. I barrel right through them while shielding Johnny best I can. I run to my car to find my wife smoking a cigarette outside the car. Yell at her to get in and hand her Johnny. Peel off with the bearded weirdos chasing the car and barely get away from them.
I hope that you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. If you enjoyed tonight's story, then please subscribe to the channel as more Greentext will appear daily. A new broadcast will appear when the clock strikes midnight Central Time.